Sanders took out name. When he was going around, he was rally.
I agree with you. AOC is so cool. I got to shake Bernie and AOC's hands at the rally.
Nice. I got a picture with them, but I got a picture with the 100.
What's up, brother? We're gonna come down and hug you. I didn't know if you were gonna be the first one to do Wednesday.
I'll scoot. I'm gonna, no, that's okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, let's go. This Wednesday, I can do sorry, I messed up. So anyway, I just want to right, because you do a big job. And that was the guy nurse. The funny thing is that one of yeah, and it was just, I just want to make this, I don't care. Because otherwise, so you're saying they need to spit? We have not what did they say? So there's two. What's the part was a soul? Until you're flush or anything, if you come to us and say, so they didn't wrestle. Well, but the thing is, they were there before anybody else was. And I went to go to these protests, so if you were we could give you a banner, we could give you a okay, so we're going to say for the year, let's say, just to make sure, I mean, you're looking at it. We're here in Powell.
We're looking at $140, 10 by 10.
And then we wanted to work to the next leadership and so. Well, that's good. I was thinking, it's just like, how do we want to? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I just, you know, so yeah, I'm just trying to go for shade.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hello,
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kenneth.
I'm with the Minority Caucus.
Oh, nice.
So I do communications management. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've had a long day.
No, you're good.
I've worked my whole day, and now I'm on like hour 11.
The last 2 weeks, I've been working literal double shifts at work. I feel you.
Yeah. So
you're the communications
manager.
Nice.
Yeah.
For the Minority Caucus.
Yes, for the House.
Oh, sick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
congrats. Did
yes.
you just get this?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, I saw. I
Oh.
looked at the role and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I came from KSL.
Wait, and you're the one that took the great videos of Jennifer Plum.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay,
Oh my God.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Don't give me that kind of
All right.
credit.
All right.
It's like you're gonna make my head big. I don't even know what you're talking about. But I think you're doing
Live streaming.
yes. So this will all just be online. Like, will you have the raw footage as well, or does it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but I could also just like rig it from.
I'm streaming to YouTube.
Is this
No,
working?
it is live.
Oh, right now.
So I think I can download the raw footage from YouTube.
Okay, I probably can too as well. So I can.
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Okay.
I think I can download higher quality.
Okay.
I can get it to you. It
Okay.
won't be the highest quality.
No, that's fine. I mostly just want it for socials. So
Yep.
yeah, if I can.
Do you have a contact card or?
I just started. So, but I can.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes, and I can also just, if you want to put in your phone number, and then I'll just text you.
Would you mind taking it down?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Kenneth. Last name is Charette.
Okay. Phone number.
702 526 9779.
9779. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
And if you want to just send me your
I'll send you a text. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenneth.
Yeah. What was your name again?
Jessica.
Jessica.
Yes,
Nice to
yes,
meet you.
it's nice to meet you.
Hey, good to see you again. How are you? Great.
Very good. You're doing it rapidly. Very quickly.
Great. Did you jump in? You want to throw your hat in the ring?
I am planning to go my own side. I'm going to focus on getting this person
Reach out to me. Drop me a line.
Yeah, I will send you. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, if it goes that Vortex just text me. So it's I could receive it, and it's I don't see much. What a good turnaround.
Family. It's scary. Well, we used to bed out in the parking lot
For as long as my phone will survive.
Pioneer Valley. Let's see now. If I'm not, if I'm wrong, Pioneer Valley.
So are you sitting on the step?
Maybe. Save that seat.
What's that? The at one.
Not metal passport. Have you read Track Hour?
Man, how you been?
Good to see you.
You guys like live up here now?
No, we still just do 7-hour round trips regularly.
You just like go and come back in the same day?
We did pack an overnight in case we don't feel like it tonight.
That's good
Probably
call.
drive
That's
back because we gotta both be at work.
no, that's yeah, because it's a Monday. Jeez, you guys are dedicated. I love it. I should be down there in September.
How's it going?
That's,
You better be.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like hearing should be.
No,
no.
Because I'll be driving down from Jackson. There's a legislative conference is up there, but I should be able to do it. It's just an 8-hour drive. You guys do that every day, so I've got no excuse.
That's it, right? Not at all.
Go good. Good to see you. As always, you're always here.
Yeah. It wasn't this morning, and I won't be tomorrow, but here we are.
That's you guys just headed home right after this?
To work tomorrow.
So are you gonna sleep before
We
work?
might get dinner.
We might get dinner, and then drive home, and then I will.
She sleeps.
Do I sleep in the car?
Okay, that's a little bit of.
If my work is light, I can sleep some during the day. But I can't guarantee my work is light, so we'll see.
My legs are locked out. I went to go find a restroom, and as it turns out, if you exit out that door, you go down the hallway.
Oh, there's a better one. If you go to the one on the left,
Yeah.
there's like a little bit of a backstage, and if you curl around, there's like a makeup room, and there is a toilet inside the makeup room.
That is where I'm heading.
Makeup room. Sorry, I think I said makeout room. Which,
Look, I'm not questioning. Good for them.
oh my God, our diehards. Good group. I like this auditorium. I hate to say it. I live down the street. I've never been to this auditorium. I hang out on the roof all the time, but I never hang out in this auditorium.
I've never been to this library.
Really?
It's a nice library.
Oh,
I live in Cedar City. You know that, right? I'm not here.
That's true. But well, I mean, looks can be appearances. As far as I know, you are here all the time.
Yes, but not like let's go to the library and study.
That's
Keep coming out to do things.
I kind of miss studying here. I studied here, particularly in my undergrad. I would go up and study at those tables by the windows. Sure. Really nice. Really nice. Now I just don't anymore because I have other places to be, I suppose. Yeah, a good library. Oh, no, you're doing it right. Let me check in with some folks here and see if we're going to start in a second. Or if I got
People are still in
because they shut down the freeway. Yeah. 'Cause I wouldn't mind jumping upstairs to see if I can grab a water.
Just do it.
That's
I'm
well,
gonna start without you.
that's
Well,
well,
it's not down here. You're good.
I suppose. Yeah. with us elected. The Democratic House caucus will sit together, and the entirety of the Senate caucus will sit together.
And then I'll sit by myself. Do you know this feels like a bad joke punchline? Like 3 representatives, a senator, and me walk into a bar. Oh, all right, we'll take the library. After this, a bar. I agree with you.
One, well, technically 2. Look at saying it's not set for tomorrow. Although I double booked myself. It's a little bit of video, a little bit of recording. I'm sure they screwed up all of it. It's too much. This thing is too much. Yeah, if we can bring the dishes, make sure you make soda again. Good stuff. Oh yeah, that's Hey, what's up? Thank you. Yeah, I got myself some. Oh. We're not in session. I forget. You have to pay attention to paparazzi. Yeah, that was good. 5.
267 on the interim calendar, or from UAP. Oh, okay. Is there anything on the interim? All right. Or just talking special session?
Every time I see him.
I don't have it on mine. I have stuff. They have seen this like special session.
I think all I've seen is discussion about putting something on special session, which I think was probably.
Today, the answer's no.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Big 3.
I think there was a proactive effort from
Mostly
All right, guys. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I see a lot of faces I saw on Saturday, so you guys rock. So tonight we gather at a critical juncture in our nation's history. The entire federal Utah delegation was invited here tonight, but their absence is telling. It reflects a broader disconnection between elected federal officials and the people they are supposed to serve. So we are here because our democracy is under siege. Donald Trump's authoritarian takeover is not just a threat to our political system, it's an assault on the very fabric of our society. The deployment of Marines on the streets of Los Angeles, the takeover of Washington, D.C., are not measures to maintain order. They are desperate attempts to distract from a failed agenda and to consolidate power. We have one party that is engaged in a systematic effort to rig the midterms, attempting to give Trump 5 new seats as part of a broader scheme to avoid facing us next November. This sounds familiar, right, in Utah? We know the playbook well. And just today, Trump announced that he is going to sign an executive order to attempt to eliminate vote by mail, ballot drop-offs, and even voting machines. What we're witnessing is not reform, it's retaliation by a would-be dictator who cannot accept losing. Meanwhile, the people that were elected into office, the very people that took an oath to uphold our Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, are silent in the wake of these attacks. We saw the big ugly bill that was just passed, direct attack on the health care of millions. It's cruel and it's heartless, all to give tax breaks to the rich. We're seeing the imposition of tariffs, which is raising the cost of groceries, clothes, electronics. This is a crushing agenda that is being felt across the country. But we are not just fighting against policies. We are fighting for a better future. A future where earned benefits like Social Security are strengthened and expanded. A society where healthcare is a right, not an option. Where women are in charge of our own bodies. Where education is valued and funded, not just for the few, but for all. So right now, we need to come together across party lines, across racial and socioeconomic divides to defend our democracy. And since our federal elected officials won't show up, we're here to show them that we will continue to show up until they listen to us, that they stand with us against this takeover, and they fight for the people, not just the wealthy. And if they refuse to show up, then we will vote them out. Let's do it. enough tonight to be joined by elected officials right here in Utah who do show up, who do stand with us, and who do fight for us. So, we have Representative Jennifer Bailey Provost, House District 22. She is my rep, so I'm so happy. We have Representative Hong Win. So sorry. I even tried to practice. House District 23. Representative Grant Miller, House District 24. State Senator Mae Bluen, State Senate District 14. And our special guest, we have Susan Merrill, who is our new Vice Chair of the Utah Democratic Party. So we're going to start off tonight with a panel discussion, but then we're going to take questions from you guys, because that's who we want to hear from. What is on your mind? We're going to do it at random, and so once we've finished the panel question, me and Sarah will be calling your names and we'll be on the side, so when we call your name, stand up and we're going to bring you a mic. So my question to you guys tonight is, with the current administration aggressively pursuing an authoritarian agenda that includes militarization of cities, electoral manipulation, restrictive voting laws, tax policies that benefit billionaires at the expense of working families, what key message do you guys want to convey tonight? How can we fight back? And why should Utah care about these national issues?
I'm gonna jump on it. Hi everybody, thank you so much for being here. I just want to take a minute before I answer and thank Jamie and everybody who was instrumental in organizing this, and to each of you for spending your Monday evening here away from home, away from family. Hopefully you're here with your families, because that's great too. As was mentioned, I'm Jen Bailey Provo. I have the privilege of representing House District 22, downtown Salt Lake City, which is actually across the street. I think we're in Grant's district on this side of the street. But downtown Salt Lake City is, I believe, a wonderful place and full of amazing people, and as evidenced by you all being here tonight. So thank you for being here. I, like everybody here, lose a lot of sleep at night over what's going on in Washington, D.C. But as a state legislator, my job and my goal has always been to try to do everything that I can within my control in the state of Utah. And right now that work is going to be more important and more salient than ever, because there's a lot of harm coming down the pike. There are so many bad things coming. 188,000 Medicaid recipients in this state are standing to lose their access to health care. As many as 3 or 4 rural hospitals will likely close in the state of Utah, further exacerbating significant healthcare disparities in the state of Utah. And so those are just 2 examples of things that we know are coming. And so the question is, as state legislators, what are we going to do this interim? What decisions are we going to make in the budget process in the next general session to mitigate as much harm as we can? And so this is a call to our federal lawmakers, to every other state lawmaker, to our supermajority Republican legislators on the other side of the aisle here in the state of Utah. What do we need to do to protect people? Because I think that far too many legislators assume that the people in their communities are not going to be hurt, and they're wrong. And if we can have that conversation, I don't want to give my opponents on the other side of the aisle a leg up on a policy, but if it means helping the people that live in their district from being harmed, I think we all need to be ready to sit down and have that conversation. And so the biggest part of it is going to be the money. I think realistically, we're looking at, optimistically, a 20% contraction of our state budget. Our state budget is a little over $30 billion. That's attuned to the loss of several billion dollars that we have to figure out, and we know that those who are already marginalized will take the brunt of that. How do we address hunger when we no longer have support for food banks or for school lunch programs? How do we support working families who are going to lose already scarce resources for childcare so that people can work and keep a roof over their heads? And so, yes, there's a lot of blame and criticism to be laid at the feet of Donald Trump and his minions. But at the end of the day, we've got to buckle down and we've got to get busy doing work today and in this space of time. And I and my colleagues will be at interim the next couple of days. We have budget meetings tomorrow. I sit on social services appropriations, which is the budget committee that funds the most vulnerable, the programs for the most vulnerable in our state. We've got to take a deep dive into that to figure out how to stretch every dollar further so that we can we can minimize the harm.
Thank you, Representative Provo. And I will say, my name is Hong Nguyen. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm a freshman, newly elected to represent House District 23, which is the East Bench of Salt Lake. And Representative Provo is my mentor, and she has done so much to guide me through this wild, crazy, insane first session that myself and Representative Miller had the distinct honor of sitting through, mostly horrified at what was happening during the first session, but we had great leadership to be able to really kind of guide us through. That being said, right now with the impacts of what this big ugly bill will do, it's great. And I like to, when I'm engaging with my constituents, my neighbors, different Utahns about this, there's only so much that we as state elected officials can do when these things are happening at a federal level. And I'm so proud that so many Utahns are paying attention and they're speaking up, they're engaging with their elected officials. And the conversation that I'm having with my neighbors about this is, yes, these things are happening on a federal level. Right now at a state level, what can we focus on to minimize the harm that is coming from these federal policies? And for my part, immigration is a big bill. What's happening with all these ICE raids? What's happening with the loss? I mean, with this bill coming through, Pell Grants, I believe it was about 43,000 students may be losing access to Pell Grants. And I know my family, we personally relied on these Pell Grants to come through college, to be able to afford college and be able to find that success that we've been able to. Working with different cities, I met with West Valley City the other day. We had a meeting with Salt Lake City leadership to talk about what are they doing from these cities, especially West Valley City, where a lot of these immigrants who live. How are we going to make sure we're protecting our residents? How are we going to make sure that we're not coordinating with these federal initiatives and rounding up Utahns right now who are just here to work, who are just here to try to provide for their families, who are not committing crimes, these heinous crimes that our administration is saying that they're doing, right? So I'm trying to bring it back to state level, to local level. What can we do within our power right now to protect Utahns and still try to protect some of these rights right now? So, like I said, yes, pay attention to the federal bills that are coming down, but then we need to think locally. We need to think, what can we do locally here, working with our locally elected cities and municipalities and state leaders to be able to push back on some of those harms so it doesn't impact our residents here in the state.
My name is Grant Miller. I want to thank all of you for being here, and thanks for putting on this event. I love these town halls. Not only are they kind of cathartic in times like these, but they're very, very important for communities to coalesce and come together. It's a really difficult question. What do you do when every moment of every day, everything feels like it's in constant collapse? What's really disheartening for me is it does not feel like the federal government is trying to any degree to be responsible, to be good stewards of the people they represent, to be accountable to the voters. And when they do things that benefit the corporate class, they then counteract with laws that make sure that they're not accountable to the voters. And cascading across the country right now are these movements to further gerrymander districts. And then there's a whole bunch of finger pointing, and it doesn't just happen at the national level. I want to earmark something for all of you, as my colleagues pointed out. On Wednesday, we are going to have an interim committee session, and in political subdivisions in the morning, there's a very suspicious bill that appears to be targeting Salt Lake County Council districts. And we don't know what the text says, but I'm suspicious that they might very well be trying to manipulate our democratic influence and representation there, which, by the way, we have a minority. That said, with every moment that we kind of doom scroll and every moment we turn on the news and everything just feels like it's collapsing, I hope for everybody to not lose hope. There's a lot of fatigue, and I feel it. And I know all of you feel it too, and it's just a little bit too much. Every day it's a little bit too much, and as it feels like it can't get worse, I think it's about 10 times worse, and it keeps going. It's exponential. But the moment that we disengage like that, the moment we fully disengage is the moment that we have completely lost the battle. We have a government that doesn't think that it can be accountable to the voters. And if we do have a democracy, which is being put to the test right now, the counterpunch is to activate, organize, and vote. For this great, yes. I heard this great quote the other day, that the organized people are a free people. And democracy is something that you can't take for granted. It's a constant struggle, it's a pursuit. So if you're like me, you got neighbors and you know that they don't vote, encourage them to vote. Don't get fatigued, I know it feels difficult. But right now is where the midterms start. And if we can't win back the midterms, then they have carte blanche to do whatever they want to do and take a wrecking ball through what's left. We can't afford that. Talk to your friends, get them registered to vote. Your neighbors, get them registered to vote. Anyone that you think could even remotely qualify to vote, get them to vote. Because at the end of the day, if we organize, they don't actually have the numbers. They're just counting on our apathy. Don't get apathetic. Please, let's keep fighting. Together, we have to do this together. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, it is. First things first. Hi everyone, Nate Blewett. I represent Senate District 13, which is Sugar House area. I live down in Mill Creek, South Salt Lake, Murray, and West Valley City. So if you live in those areas, you might be in my district. I'm worried. I'm worried about what we're seeing. I appreciate all these concerns that are being raised already. And that's a big question with a lot of different pieces to unpack, but one thing I think that I am focused on is accountability. We are seeing so many of the things that are happening at the federal level either start here in states like Utah, with these ideas being generated by legislators or legislatures like Utah's, like Tennessee's. We see these places as experiments for some of these ugly policies that are then making it up to the federal level, and vice versa. We see things happening at the federal level that then trickle down and the state of Utah then adopts. So it has been it's been so frustrating to hear about this redistricting push that we're hearing about in Texas, and I think to highlight the absurdity of it all, I mean, it's been interesting, to say the least, to see Gavin Newsom's approach and really flipping the table on his head and taking a whole new way of talking about things and engaging and just trying to get at the heart of the issue and let people know that we're fighting for these small d democratic foundations that really govern our society, that are going to allow our democracy to keep flourishing for hopefully a few hundred more years or something. So that's, I think, what we need to be really focused on. And to me, it's right now, you know, it's less about the policy specifically and more about making sure that we have a system that we can keep engaging in all of these really critical issues, whether it's federal, whether it's state. So these funding issues, I'm really focused on our energy costs. That is another piece that is going to be drastically impacted by HR 1, whatever you want, their different names for that bill. I've got some. Yeah, got some ideas that we could draw anyway. Energy costs are really problematic. We're seeing these pop up right here during our interim meetings this week. There are a variety of really destructive conversations happening about energy policy in the state of Utah. We're seeing incentives for clean energy, which happens to be the most affordable type of energy that we can produce, rolled back at the federal level. And we're not seeing pushback from our representatives in DC. We've seen Senator Curtis, who I had high expectations for going in, as more of a Romney-esque figure. We have not seen that in his approach. He's rolled over on every single nominee that has come before him. He has supported this effort in Washington, D.C. to police that society, to just to go in and tamp down everything. And it's been disgusting to see how those things have played out and the rhetoric that's being spread around. And so I think more than anything, we need to get together and keep pushing ahead and organizing and showing up, encouraging neighbors to vote, encouraging folks to run for office. I think that's something that people see as out of reach, and that's one of the problems, is we just need regular, ordinary people running for everything from, your local community council to school boards to legislatures, city councils. I think if we had people who would just talk about the impacts these issues had on them and not be so focused on whether it's good for a billionaire's bottom line. I'm not so worried about that, frankly. I'm worried about making sure that kids have food to eat in schools, and that our energy bills aren't too high, and that we still have water in the Great Salt Lake. And so if you have people who are actually focused on those issues rather than just supporting their corporate donors, supporting their party, that's what's going to steer us back in the right direction. But we're kind of on a cliff right now, and I'm feeling like the frog in the pot of water that's getting a little bit hotter every day. But it's pretty hot right now. That pot is getting damn near boiling, and I don't know what the tipping point is, but we've seen so many examples. Whether it's this intrusion into local control of DC, which again, that came on top of Los Angeles, and so it's this slippery slope we keep seeing moving forward, and I don't want folks to miss that at some point, it's going to tip and we're not going to be able to get back. So that I think needs to be a big focus, and something that I will keep poking and keep highlighting and keep advocating for folks to get involved as best as they can, and speaking truth to power.
Hey everybody, my name is Susan Merrill. I am not from Salt Lake, so I'm feeling, you are too kind. That's a weird thing to applaud, but thank you. I live in Cedar City, and so I am not representing, I do represent you because I'm the vice chair of the Democratic Party, so if you're a Democrat in Utah, I guess I represent you kind of, but not in a legislative way. So I have a day job. I work in higher education. I'm sure all of you have day jobs too, actually, because I've seen what the legislature pays. So I bring a little bit of a different perspective. I'm kind of feeling a little bit like that one song from Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. But you guys can laugh. It's okay. That was funny, right? Okay, thank you. So anyway, I don't know that there's anything profound that I have to say that the others on the stage haven't said already, but one of the things that I was thinking of is that for my day job, I went to this virtual conference last spring, and it was what to do in a polycrisis, and I was like, that's a weird word, polycrisis. But basically that's when you have a crisis on top of a crisis on top of a crisis on top of a crisis, and we are not built to sustain that kind of energy. It's meant to exhaust you. It's meant to make you tune out and seek things like doom scrolling or reading or something. Not that reading's bad, but do something to escape, because there's too many bad things all at one time and your brain literally doesn't know what to do with it. So that's what we're in, by the way. So there you go, you have a word for it, polycrisis. And one of the things that was brought up in that was, what can I do? Not that any one of us in this room necessarily are going to be the answer to the problems, but what can you do within your sphere of influence that is going to help move a little bit forward. And that's one of the reasons I decided to run for vice chair of the Democratic Party, was because I thought, well, I could do that. That's a thing I could do. I mean, what, like it's hard? By the way, yes, it is. So it's like, oh, thank you. But that doesn't mean that that's what you need to do. Maybe what you can do is you can go protest. Maybe what you can do is you can't protest, but you could pay for someone to make signs. Maybe you can fund a candidate. Maybe you can run for office. If that seems scary, maybe you can canvass or phone bank for someone who is running for office. Everything matters. And what Grant was saying with getting out and getting registered to vote, that's honestly the most important thing. One of the things that we see in Utah is that we are very trained to think that, oh, you're a Democrat, all 8 of you. Look in the room. I'm not saying you're all Democrats, but like, there's a lot of people in this room. And I'm guessing there are quite a few Democrats in this room. I know there's quite a few Democrats on this stage. So like, there are more of us than what they think. We have been so like conditioned to view this as being unique. I shouldn't say anything, I shouldn't speak out because I'm the only Democrat that I know. No, you're not. You're not the only Democrat. Or if you aren't a Democrat but you aren't a Republican, cool, you're not the only one of those either. And here's the thing, every vote counts. And we have been taught to think that because we're gerrymandered, that it doesn't. But here's the thing, you know what changes with gerrymandering, other than the bill, which we're really, we're hoping that lawsuit comes through any day now. But other than changing the actual gerrymandered districts, do you know what could change the votes? Is people voting. Because it doesn't matter if it's gerrymandered, if everybody gets out to vote and they vote a certain direction, it's going to change the direction that we're going. Every vote matters. Get your friends registered to vote. Take people to vote. Make sure they know that they can't just mail in their ballot and have it arrive late because it won't get counted anymore. Okay? Make sure that people know that kind of thing. That's the most important thing. Any little thing that you can do, even if you're like, this doesn't make a difference, yes it does. And the most important thing you can do is take a minute every now and then and break. Because this is designed to make you give up. And you can't give up, friends. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We gotta keep going. So I need you to take a couple minutes every week and rest up, refuel. I don't run marathons, I don't know if you can tell. But I'm assuming you gotta drink some water at some point and probably get some energy, some goo or something. I think they do. I don't know. I don't run. But like, you gotta keep yourself well fed. You have to stay hydrated. You need to get sleep. You need to do things that bring you joy, and you need to refill your batteries. Because frankly, we got a long race to run. Whether or not you like running, you gotta go. And so make sure you're taking care of yourself too.
Draw the first 2 names, and we're going to have you stand up and we will bring you the mic. So I have Carl Mayleft. And I have Miriam Bugden. Miriam Bugden? Do I know, but I don't see you. Another You guys get to see us run.
I'm thinking.
Just
pass it down.
So I don't know if this is really a question for you guys, but to the Democratic Party in general, what is the Democratic Party doing as a whole to oppose Trump and his policies to ensure our democracy?
Cool.
I guess, we have a lot of Republicans out there that should be based on the old Republican principle, not the MAGA Republicans. There's a big difference there. So,
hold the mic to your mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, we're not using, the Republicans aren't using the old Republican principles. they're using MAGA principles. Not the same thing, not even close.
They're not even principles.
So,
Well, one thing I think that is absolutely key right now is this redistricting fight. I mean, to me, that was an issue that I ran on. Redistricting here in Utah, Better Boundaries was a big supporter, and I remain committed to making sure that we have fair districts. But this fight is just so oppositional to democracy. So one thing, you saw the Texas Democrats, and a few of us were there in Boston last week with some of these folks who had flown out of Texas to stop the proceedings there over trying to get Trump 5 seats in a midterm, and that's completely that's a new thing that no one's done before, at least to my knowledge, and we need to keep fighting that as hard as we can, whether it's here in Utah. We're gonna see this fight come to Utah. We're gonna have new maps sooner than later, hopefully, with this court fight that's going on. And there's going to be a need to stand up when the Republicans, and I say when, not if, when the Republicans here in Utah appeal that decision and push it forward and try to keep moving the goalposts there. So that is something that I will certainly be doing myself, and hopefully other folks here as well, to make sure that we get a fair map here in Utah, and also to stand with folks like the Democrats in Texas who are really pushing back hard on what's going on there, because it's completely unacceptable. And if you draw the districts to the whims of a fascist like Trump, then we're gonna change the entire system and not be able to come back. So to me, that issue of redistricting is pretty much the whole ballgame right now.
Fight.
Just, I want to add really quickly, your question was, what are Democrats doing? My counter is what Democrats are not doing right now. And in my opinion, we lost this last presidential election because we lost our messaging. We lost our core of what democratic values are. We lost our working families. The fact that we lost unions to Trump was astonishing, right? Our policies as Democrats stands for working families, for Americans who want to achieve the American dream. And the fact that we've lost those voters, our messaging is off. And so right now, what Democrats should be doing at a local level, at a national level, is regain the messaging. Show Americans that our policies truly do fight for Americans and making sure everyone has an equal opportunity for that upward mobility and have better policies that strengthen our democracy. That's what we should be doing.
I agree completely. And I'm really discouraged. I sort of feel like if you've seen the movie Schindler's List, there's a part in there where they train cars full of Jewish people are being sent to the camps, and there's a little boy standing on the sideline going like this. And I feel like I'm that little boy. I feel like I'm heartbroken, I can't do anything, and I'm just sitting there saying, it's over, our country is over. I get so angry, I'm sorry, at the Democrats, because there's no long-term plan, there's no long message that really is engaging all of us. And I'd like to hear from you guys, what we can do as citizens to support you and send out some kind of democratic message. I know that Celeste Malloy took credit for some infrastructure change that happened in southern Utah that she voted against, that was a Biden thing. Democrats need to start speaking up and saying, this is what we're doing, locally and federally. And I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated. I want to know what I can do to support you folks during the legislative session or even before.
Thank you for Thank you for the question. This actually brings up a lot of emotions for me because I ask the same thing of my constituents, like, what can I do? What can I be doing better? And this is not me trying to punt on that. I will tell you that one of the realities for us as a super minority in the legislature is we are scrapping every day for every inch, right? And as Representative Nguyen said, we are not good about telling the story about the gains that we make. I loathe social media. I'm trying to really look at it. We have an amazing communications team who are going to help us be better at that, about telling that story. Because in Utah, as super minorities, as super minority legislators, we actually do get some pretty cool bills done. But we're so focused on trying to scrap for the next inch that we're not good at the bumper sticker politics. This is the thing that Republicans have really, really honed in on, like, how do you tell a story in 3 words or less that sticks on a bumper sticker and sticks in people's minds? But that doesn't excuse the fact that we wish we were doing really big things and passing really big bills that were splashy, that made really, a really, really big difference. But it's also hard to be like, well, that really, really, really crappy labor bill passed, but actually that's not a good excuse, but some of the really crappy bill passed, but we made it a little bit less bad. And sometimes that's the win. And if that's what we can do, that's what we're going to do. But more saliently to your point, I think, I was reading a news article recently about the fact that at a federal level, Republican lawmakers are really unpopular. Democratic lawmakers are even more unpopular. Like, how are we in this space and time where Republicans are, in my mind, we should be doing this as handing us a gift. Like, they're doing things so horribly, we should just be standing there, like, picking up the pieces. But somehow at the federal level, they're just not. And so I'm equally discouraged. And so to Susan's point, like, I turn inward. It's just too much. This poly crisis. And that's a great word. Like, you said that, I felt that deeply. And so what I do is I turn to my community and I turn to my state level policy and I have meetings with stakeholders. And I could name a number of wins that my colleagues here on the stage have had in the last session, all of our other colleagues in the legislature have had. After 3 years of running a bill, I finally pulled together the right stakeholders, and we were able to extend Medicaid expansion or Medicaid coverage to people with disabilities, so they don't have to limit their own income, right? So people with disabilities can now go make money and be successful and pay taxes and buy homes and not lose their Medicaid coverage, which they need to get out of the house, right? Like, for me, when that bill passed the Senate, I stood behind a curtain on the side of the Senate floor and I cried. Because that was a big deal to the, couple hundred people in the state of Utah, that could help. Does it capture headlines? Does it change all the things that I want to change? It doesn't. But I will say, we have to get out of this mindset that because Democrats can't do everything, that we're doing nothing. And I know it feels like a lot of people are doing nothing, because honestly, a lot of people are actually doing nothing, or worse, they're doing active harm. But I do want you to know that while it doesn't always feel like it, we work really, really hard. And I will say, Susan made a joke about how little legislators are paid. She isn't paid anything. So kudos to people who are stepping up to do the hard work. Because we don't do it for the pay, right? Like, and here's a secret. I wish it paid more so that more people could actually do this job, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Not because I think that we need a boost in our pay, but we do this because we love the work of it. We care deeply about our communities. I have 3 daughters growing up in this state, and this is not the world that I can leave for them. Or any of your children. I hope that 3, 4 years, 5 years down the road, we can all be sitting here again, and I can say to you, these are all the huge things that we got accomplished. But right now, I'm gonna scrap for every inch that I can get. And it's not a lot, but it's what I can do, and I'm gonna keep at it.
Next up, we have David Brown.
Joan Gregory.
Well, I, for one, like the motto, making Utah less bad. That's pretty nice. Sorry. I like making Utah less bad. That is, I can get behind that. So, what's been on my mind is that when it comes to Utah Democrats, there are, and you touched on this a lot, there are a lot of things that you can't necessarily do. It seems like there's it does kind of like beat down on you, it wears down on you, and you feel like you're in, very sad movies, masterpiece movies, but very sad nonetheless. But in terms of like practical things that you can do that still make a difference, perhaps on things that aren't quite so polarized yet, right? Things that have been acknowledged bipartisanly as being needed, like housing reform to address the housing crisis, right? Where houses are so expensive and you can't prices are out of control, and it's a huge part of your income to own a house, even if you can even get in one, right? And so, in terms of things that you can work with Republicans on, things, what are some of those things that you do feel that you can work with them on? Particularly housing. That one's really bothering me.
What's your name, boss?
David.
David, I love that question. What can we do to actually get things done? First of all, yes, we have to actually focus on bipartisanship to really make some progress. But just wanted to part for a second. Not for a second should we ever let go of our values. We should dig in our heels on all those things that matter. We're not going to leave that. We're not going to leave that for them to take away, or if they're going to come after it, we're going to dig in our heels and we're going to fight for the vulnerable communities that they're trying to attack. But I will say, I've got some great colleagues up here that know how to get work done up at Capitol Hill, and I'm honored to be amongst their ranks. Hong and I, this is our freshman session. Our first session was last January into March, and we'll be going into our first term. We went in as 5 Democrats, 5 brand new Democrats. Every one of those 5 Democrats passed bills into law. And what's even more remarkable is that when we passed our bills, we didn't do it through thin margins. You got to figure, we got about 14 representatives that are Democrats out of 75. The rest are all Republicans. And so you do the math, you're like, we need 20, 30-something Republicans, and you think that we pass things through thin margins. We actually don't. We passed almost all of the bills that we did unanimously through both houses. My court fines and fees bill passed unanimously across both houses, save one senator, and that was a senator that walked in late on the vote, didn't know what was going on, went down. But the truth is, we work together, and you hit the nail on the head on something really important. You mentioned affordable housing. Unless you've been living under a rock, you feel it. I myself am a practicing attorney, my wife's a practicing attorney, and we barely can afford our 2-bedroom bungalow here in Liberty Wells. And every generation after us, I worry for them because they're not going to be able to get in the market. All these corporations have bought up these big apartment buildings or swaths of houses, and it's no longer about ownership, it's about the subscription model. And that's dangerous because not only do you not get to own property, which is generational wealth, it's politically disenfranchising. And I really want to elaborate what I mean by that. Anyone here ever read the Utah State Constitution? Anyone really old document? A couple of you, that's awesome. And for those of you who don't, go to Wikipedia, check out the very beginning of it. Article 1, Section 1 of the Utah Constitution enumerates what Utah's founding policymakers thought was one of our most important rights for Utahns. It is the right to acquire property, to possess property, and to protect property. Article 1, Section 1. As Utahns, affordable housing is one of our primary state rights. Now, if we can't handle that through bipartisanship, there's nothing we can accomplish in the end. But I think that we can work together, but we need real answers. When I talk to my colleagues on the other team, they think about like, well, we don't really want to over-regulate. What we want to do is we'll deregulate this, we'll deregulate that, make it cheaper for some corporate conglomerate to do X, Y, or Z. No. Take real action. We have to take real action. We have to interfere with the marketplace and make housing actually affordable. Anyway, that's just one issue of many. I've already talked too much, but just to summarize, we're doing what we can to work in a bipartisan way. Sometimes we have to bite our lips, we do. But we do get stuff done, and I do hope that we can start finding some meaningful answers to make property ownership realistic again.
Hi. So, my name is Joan Gregory. So, we can't accomplish anything if we don't have a plan. If there's a plan and it's not shared with the community, then we can't help. So what's your plan? What's the Democrat plan to safeguard Salt Lake? What is your plan to protect our immigrant communities? What is your plan to convince our congressional delegation to end the genocide, the immoral genocide in Gaza, and to end the devastating war on Ukraine? Did I forget anything?
Thank you, Joan. And Joan is one of my constituents. And Joan pushed me so hard this last session, and I appreciate it. She was up there almost every day during session, pushing me about the Great Salt Lake was the big issue right now. And to Joan's credit, I was able to finagle my way onto the Natural Resources Appropriations Committee. I was able to finagle my way onto the Water Commission. Because when I was out campaigning, this was a big issue for so many residents across the East Bench, up in Summit Park, which I represent as well, and so many Utahns. And where I have two little boys who are growing up and I want them to stay here, the environment, when neighbors engage the way that Joan has, it really makes us elected representatives know that we have to show up, okay? So to your question, Joan, of what is the plan? Keep in mind that of 75 House members, there's only 14 of us. Of 29 senators, there's 6 Democrats. The plan here is we need to break that super majority. That is the plan. As a super minority, we are doing, like Representative Daley Provost says, as much as we can to make bad bills a little bit worse. Until the cavalry can come in, until the state party we have new elected state party leaders, the plan needs to be how are we strategic across the state to go and target those areas, to be able to go and win those purple areas. We need to take seats out of the Republican Party, seat by seat, so we start boosting our numbers, so we can start working on immigration. We can pass meaningful bills about state legislature. We can pass meaningful bills about public education. Right now, the numbers are so small as we are, we're trying to hold it together. The war is winning and breaking that supermajority. And that's the conversation that I've had with the state Democratic Party, especially coming off of that Union Bill, House 267 bill there, that so many people worked up over losing the rights for our public employees to collective bargain. That is the linchpin that we need to go out and push those purple districts around the state to really I know that's not but overall, we need to think big strategy, and we need to win back some of those seats.
Can I add one quick thing to that? Because she's absolutely right. I will own the fact that as a super minority, we've been a super minority for so long, that I feel like we've mistakenly kind of fallen into this sort of victim mentality, right? Like, well, we're small, we're mighty, we keep fighting, we do good things, make no mistake about it. Our caucus has done good work, great work, oftentimes. But there is a newer recognition of that we've come around to this idea that not only, we can't just always be on defense, we can't just always be looking for the horrible thing that's coming and make it less bad. And so we're proactively looking at telling our story better, making sure that people in these red districts and these purple districts understand what Democrats are fighting for, even if we lose. That's been a big key. Like, it's hard to go out there and be like, I ran this bill and got my butt kicked and couldn't even get it out of rules, and it died a slow, asphyxiated death and never saw the light of day. But if we tell people, look, this is a bill that we tried to run to help your family, then voting for Democrats in parts of the state that are so entrenched in voting for anybody that has an R behind their name, it doesn't matter what kind of crime they've committed or what kind of felonies they've been convicted of. And so there's a recognition of this, and we are trying really, really hard to get out of this victim mentality. We're just, we are a small caucus, and we do try really, really hard. But we are trying to change the mentality so that we can tell our story better, communicate to people what voting for a Democrat gets for you if you can look past party lines and look more toward the policy things. And it's a slow slog. I will tell you, just for context, and then I'm going to let us move on, because I know the minutes are ticking by. In 2010, the House Democratic Caucus had 22 members. And then redistricting happened in 2011. And in the 2012 election, we had 12. We lost 10 seats in one election cycle because of gerrymandering. And
Long before Trump.
Long before Trump. Long before the Republican Party lost its collective mind.
No, never.
Well, about the same time.
Yeah, we remember Newt Gingrich.
That's right. And then we spent between 2012 and 2022 scrapping, trying to fight back for every seat. We got back up to 17. And then redistricting happened in 2021. And in the 2022 cycle, we lost another 3 seats. And so it's just this, it's this grinding process. And so we do need to really, really work on redistricting for sure. But it only matters if the people in all these districts, regardless of where the lines are drawn, understand the story and what we are trying to do for families and make this idea of voting for a Democrat less scary for people. Because in this state, it has just been painted as a scary thing in so much of the state. So.
Can I add on to that point? I'll be quick. I'll try to be quick. We got to take advantage of the opportunities that they give us. The Republicans give us when they make mistakes. We've got to play them up and convince people that we're going to do the right thing when we have the ability to go out and speak to the public. So it's been all over the news. I called for the President of the Senate's resignation. He used his office to influence a court case, and that was an abuse of power. And we have seen in subsequent days, I've seen very conservative Republicans come out and make those same calls. And so, I don't quite yet know how to build coalitions with those folks that are coming from so far across the aisle on that issue. But I think it goes to show that when Republicans make a mistake, when the supermajority makes a mistake, they usually compound that mistake by doing other things that abuse their power even further and give us more opportunities to dig in and show people that we are going to fight for issues that make the community better. And I think a lot of the time people don't care so much about the issue itself. They care about having someone who's going to dig in and fight for them. And And that's something I don't feel like I've gotten from Democrats in recent years. So that's an opportunity to do more and to find those instances where Republicans have abused their supermajority, because there are, I can tell you, dozens of opportunities to do so if we decide to actually take that up and expose those things. So I think that's something to look forward to in the future.
Okay, our next question, Holly Young.
And Lindsay Brack.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here, and appreciate the work you do. And Nate, you actually answered one of the questions I was going to ask with exposing some of the things that some of the Republicans are doing, specifically Senator Adams. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because I think not only do you need to tell the story and have a plan, but you need to be fighting. I mean, all the way from the state, all the way up to federal. The Democrats need to grow some balls or something, seriously. And Nate, I don't know, you probably don't remember me, but you came in when you were first campaigning, you came in our little Edinburgh holiday. And I don't know if you remember a 4'5" who answered the door and offered you a glass of water, but I was better. I was there. I know that everybody was invited, and maybe you guys don't have an answer to this. There's just, polycrisis doesn't even begin to cover it. I mean, I do. I go down rabbit holes every single day, and affected personally in so many ways. I'm about ready to retire. I've worked 40 years, and now my Social Security might not be there. I may not have health care. My son is a working poor person that works for Zion's National Park with 3 little kids, and he may lose all his benefits. I have granddaughters in Florida that have no rights for their anatomy. I have nieces and nephews who are Hispanic and may be pulled over at any time because of their color of their skin. I'm infuriated. And honestly, hope is fleeting. So my question to your Republican colleagues is, where the hell has your moral compass gone to?
Well, I can't answer that question. I don't know. But I will say, to that point, I mean, the opportunities I've had to speak out on issues to what I was just talking about, I mean, that's the reason I'm not going to pass any bills, is because they're not going to even probably get my bills committee hearings at this point, because they're so worried about having their feelings hurt and having these policies move forward that are destructive to our communities, and to not be able to speak up for that is just so disappointing, and really I think goes into the struggle that we're going to experience here in Utah. So I wish I could answer that question, but I mean it's so frustrating to see these continued lapses of judgment from people I know better. A lot of these people I know have morals, and they don't exercise them when it comes to the choices they make in office, and I think you've got to treat that the same as just not having that code to begin with. So that's where I'm at, is if they're not willing to step up and actually, it's nice to say something, but you got to put it into practice and actually start doing things if that is indeed what your morals say you should do. So it's extremely frustrating, especially when there's a few folks that I've known, for years, predating legislative service and that sort of thing, that are not willing to make those tough decisions, and they get roped into politics and they want to climb the ladder and become a leadership or Congress or something else, and they're willing to set aside everything to get there.
If I can go a little bit of a different direction, but kind of the same. I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. They don't have a moral compass. That's the answer. The party of family values, right?
White, gray.
I know. Talk about your bumper sticker politics. That's 3 words, right? Party of family values, 4. But anyways, whatever, close enough. We need to get better at our messaging, and we know it. And I'll say, this is kind of roping into your question about the plan. I have a unique opportunity in that I see things that happen at the county levels, I see things that happen at the state levels, I also see things that happen at the national level. Because of my role with the state party, I am on the Democratic National Committee. And I will get to go to my first meeting with them Saturday. So I'll actually get to see what this plan is, and I'm very excited. I've seen some bits, but and I will report back, I promise. But I will tell you what I do know. I know that we are the ones currently with that moral compass. We are the ones that are currently the party of the family values. And what we need is better messaging to get out there. Democrats for years have been so good at using huge words. And I know I just said polycrisis, whatever. I explained it to you, okay? Like, I told you what it meant. But we need to stop using, I heard Kamala Harris on a late night talk show who used the word, oh my goodness, what did she say? It was started with a C. She talked about, it was about rolling over. Capitulation, thank you. I'm like, it's such a big word, I couldn't remember what it was. This is a problem. And Donald Trump is really good at using really small words, right? That's what's winning elections. We have got to stop using these $7 words and start speaking in actual plain language, because that's what's speaking to the people. We have to use this bumper sticker stuff, and we know it from the national level down to the county parties. So one of the things I know that's our plan, and our basic plan obviously is to get Democrats elected. That's a great talking point, but that doesn't mean anything if we don't do it. But one of the ways we're going to do that is through messaging, and we have got to stop. We need to listen to our elected officials who are in seats and use terminology for their districts that makes sense, as opposed to trying to use a statewide message. Because frankly, the nationwide message isn't going to work, a statewide message isn't going to work. We need to get local into our communities. So I think that's kind of a long answer to your question.
I'm going to just weigh in because Jamie and I were actually the ones who invited all of your representatives, your national reps. And we got we actually didn't get responses from quite a few of them, but I did speak to John Curtis's office, and I spoke to Blake Moore's office. And they basically said their calendars were too full. I'll add that we have been trying to meet with Blake Moore since November. I went to Washington, D.C., couldn't get a meeting. I will give John Curtis a little more credit for actually, he's met with our group and his staff has met with us. And there was an online panel discussion. He's intimidated to do this. And I think that, exactly, I think what the answer is they know what they've done and they don't want to face you. And I think that we need to track them down and find them where they show up, because they're doing fundraisers and they're showing up for the, I can't remember the name of the Eagle Forum, and then calling it a town hall afterwards. But we need to show up where they are, and we will try to provide opportunities to follow.
What is your Facebook? Are you indivisible?
We're Salt Lake Indivisible.
Okay.
I'm going in a slightly different direction. Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz has talked about using Utah as a proving ground for the MAHA agenda. We saw that recently with fluoride being removed from the water statewide. What are you doing to combat that pseudoscience agenda in the Utah Congress? Or if there's nothing you can do as a super minority, what should we as citizens be doing in talking to our Republican reps about what's next on?
I'm going to jump on that one. So, I am a public health professional, and I'm really, really excited to say that as of the last election, our the number of public health professionals in the legislature doubled when Jake Fitzsimano flipped West Valley. if you work in healthcare, or you work in public health, or you work in medicine or whatever, run for office, please. The MAHA movement has been the biggest, I'm just going to use poke in the eye because the more graphic versions of that metaphor are maybe not appropriate for any children in the room. I have conversations with Speaker Schultz about this a lot, and actually just had a conversation with him last week when we were at NCSL in Boston. Because he says things like, and I'm going to be clear, I don't know if this is the right room to admit this, and Mike's a friend. I've known Mike for a long, long time, longer than I've served in the legislature. And I know him to be sincere in his beliefs, but I also know that his beliefs, especially on healthcare, are very, very skewed, and I'm just going to say it, not as well informed as mine. Because what we need to start talking about is not, oh, the MAHA movement is so stupid, which it is, but when Republicans are taking a victory lap on getting rid of food dye in schools, and then they get to go take a trip to Washington, D.C. to be patted on the back about getting rid of food dye in schools, while simultaneously supporting policies that deregulate chemical industries, manufacturing industries, who are now are allowed to dump more chemicals in our water, to put more pollutants into our air, people are going to get sicker. Is there an argument that artificial food dyes are bad for you? Sure. But what's worse for you is living in a food desert and having absolutely no access to healthy food. And what's worse for you is the federal government canceling hundreds of millions of dollars in support for farmers to provide healthy food to poor low-income kids in schools. And so I think that allowing people to take a victory lap on things like food dyes, while we can all probably agree that that's not a terrible thing, but not allow them to take the win on that. When Robert Kennedy Jr. stands up and says, "Can you believe that Democrats put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid?" First of all, nobody has looked at the food pyramid for like 30 years. And also the top is where all the crop food goes, right? Do you remember the food pyramid? Like the grains were at the bottom, and then there was the vegetables and whatnot, and you put all the junk food at the, so yeah, of course you want Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. But we hear stuff like that, and we roll our eyes and we run like, oh, it's just so painful, blah, blah, blah. No. Dirtier water, toxic water, poisonous water, poisonous air, lack of healthy food. When people like my friend Mike take a victory lap on defluoridating water, and kids are going to get cavities and have teeth pulled and worse health outcomes because they don't have good oral health, we don't get to let them take a victory lap on those things. So we have to push back every single time. And trust me, when it comes to public health issues, I'm pushing back.
Carl Malett. Oh. I think it got put back in, Carl. Okay, Aaron Walton. And Pete Shea.
Okay, you talked a little bit about candidacy and what you can do to help. The two questions I'd like to ask are, how many volunteers does a candidate usually get? And how much would it help to just have 5 or 10 more volunteers? How much of a difference would it make?
The first answer is not enough, and the second one is a huge difference. I'm not kidding. Candidates need more volunteers than what they get. And I don't, you guys can give an actual number if you want to, but it's not enough. The work of a candidate is a lot. It's intense. It is your whole life for that campaign season, and that happens before filing starts for most successful campaigns. And when you think of, if you go knock doors, if you have phone banks, if you have the signs, like putting up signs, has anyone ever done that in this room, put up signs? Cool, my heroes. That is so much work. Like if you're just putting it in your yard, that is awesome, that's a lot. If you're putting up those huge ones at the corners,
that's a workout? Those signs are ridiculous to get them to stand up in the Utah winds. I'm not wrong. Like, it's crazy. You wouldn't, like, and they're super expensive to do. Like, our candidates need funding. They need donors who, even if you can only give $2, that's almost a whole sign. Depends on how many signs you buy, maybe for somebody that's a whole sign. Yeah, pre-inflation, that's, I didn't think about that. It's a lot. We need social media managers. We need people who, honestly, whether or not you're a social media manager or not, people who can post on social media and spread the word. Never enough is the answer. Please volunteer. If you're like, I don't even know what I can do, I promise, go talk to a candidate and they will help you find out what you can do. We need more people. So.
Five volunteers can absolutely be the difference in winning or not winning a race. I mean, when you're talking about knocking 1,000, 5,000, 10 or 20,000 doors, if you have 5 volunteers who can give 1 shift a week for 2 months or something, I mean, you're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of more doors that are knocked or whatever other activities you're asking them to help you with, and that is, I mean, if you're talking about a city council race, like, that's the whole ballgame. If you're talking about a legislative race, that's still a massive difference. So yeah, 5, 10 volunteers, massive.
And statewide races, we need people in every city, and it's not necessarily every city, but every county. It's intense. So yes, please volunteer. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thanks to all of you for having this on. You gave it to me working. Is that better? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here. So thanks to all of you for having the guts to get in this supermajority environment that we've got, we call our legislature. And 267, 300, those 2 bills, I'd like to hear from you the next ones to watch for. And a specific question that I had, there's so many, but if you look at alfalfa, for instance, it contributes something like less than 1% of the gross domestic product for our state. And they use, I just looked it up, 68% of the water. How does that happen? Well, I think I know how it happens, but I'd like to hear you guys comment on that and what we can do about it.
Yeah, Great Salt Lake and water issues have been some of the most passionate I've worked on. Alfalfa is like the third rail in Utah, like you don't touch it, and I recently touched it and made some comments about it and made some people very angry. But I think it is critical that we discuss 70% of our water usage, and we need to understand it in ways that, that we're speaking to the facts, so making sure we're talking about the usage within the Great Salt Lake Basin in particular. If we're talking about the Great Salt Lake, certainly that it's a statewide issue as well. But it's been a way of life for folks, farming, agriculture. Certainly we need it, but we need to figure out what the right crops are in the right places. And it seems like alfalfa maybe is not best suited for Utah. And that's a controversial statement, but I've said it. I'm on the record, so I'll keep saying it. And there needs to be recognition there, or we're just never going to solve the problem. I mean, we'll get some more updates. I would say tune in this week. The Great Salt Lake Commissioner and some other folks will be talking in interim about these issues. We're going to have a special session soon. The speaker has said he wants to put the Great Salt Lake on there. He's talking about raising the berm, which is a way of shifting some water around. It's a Band-Aid. It's a very small solution to, I wouldn't call it a solution, it's a very small fix to a much greater problem. And, it's a good thing, and I'll probably vote for the bill when it comes down as long as it looks good, but it's certainly not going to solve anything. It's not really that complex of an issue to solve. Again, that's like, that sounds glib to say it that way, but this is not climate change. There's not like 600 million variables. It's like we just need to get some water from up high to down low. We need some better tracking. We need to make sure the solutions that we do have are actually working, because we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and the speaker actually has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars himself to upgrade some infrastructure on this farm, and we're finding that those solutions are actually using more water. So like there's a lot of things to be looking at, a lot of money being spent in ways that we don't fully understand yet. And yeah, if we just ignore 70% of the problem, and you know, people want to focus on development and residential and those things, and I get that, but the base rate is just where it's at. That 70% is not going away, and if we don't have a serious conversation, then we're going to keep heading in the wrong direction.
I'll try to keep my answer succinct here, but with alfalfa, it is a cash crop. And there are so many rural families, agriculture families who have been here for generations, who it's getting harder and harder to be able to turn a profit on their farms. So naturally, they're going to turn to alfalfa, and the majority of the alfalfa that is grown here in the state is shipped out of the state, out of the nation here to overseas. Right now, the problem that we have when we're focusing, using our resources like this to alfalfa is we need to come up with better policies, better incentives to make sure that these growers, these farmers and ranchers can have incentives to be able to grow, you know, to the problem of food, that we're not growing enough food here. Fresh agriculture and ranchers, they want to be able to grow what their ancestors grew years ago, to be able to keep it here in the system. But right now, with changing climate, with how hard it is to be able to turn a profit out in rural Utah and urban farms here, they're not incentivized to be able to keep growing the stuff that we need here. So in my opinion, it is coming up with policies to make sure that we have a way for these farmers and ranchers to grow the crops that we here in Utah would love. It would make us healthier to be able to keep it here, rather than having them have to turn to crops like alfalfa that does not necessarily support our food systems here, and it's harder for the environment. So I think that's a big policy issue that we can fix and incentivize these farmers and ranchers to grow the stuff that we actually need, and for them to be able to still provide a living for their family.
I'll add one more comment to that, and I know I've been speaking way too much tonight, I apologize. You know who passed a bill this legislative session to address exactly that thing, to learn how to support farmers, to grow food for Utah consumption? A Democrat.
Now that we're on that issue, just one thing to watch out for. There's a proposed piece of legislation on one of the agendas for this week about removing incentives for solar projects, in particular on farmland, which has been a crusade of Casey Snyder. So solar has been a way of making some additional income for farmers, and for some reason Republicans in Utah are trying to dismantle that incentive. So it's a lot of hypocritical actions going on there.
When is that? Is there any way we can attend?
Wednesday, is that natural resources probably? I was looking at agendas earlier. I think it's Wednesday, I believe, the Natural Resources Committee, although it might be Public Utilities.
These are the things that the Democrats need to be screaming about to the public.
Yeah.
Letting us
Not
know.
just being
Aren't the tariffs
quiet.
going to destroy the Chinese market for the alfalfa? Now there's, 30% tariff coming to us, and they're going to put it back on us, so the market's going to go away.
You're not wrong. So we actually saw that happen with the mine. I know it's a little different industry, but in Cedar City we had a mine that was shut down because of the tariffs. Iron can only be processed overseas right now because we don't have the facilities to do it in country. And so because it was so expensive to ship them the raw product, have them process it and bring it back over here, they shut the whole operation down and 150 people lost their jobs. That's the reality of what's coming with alfalfa too, because of the tariffs.
And those people need to be telling their story. Like, those are the stories I want to hear. Like, people, that company, that should be broadcast everywhere in the state. Huge and loud.
So we're asking them to take over the media.
So they agree with you. You can see every one of them shaking their heads, and that is part of the problem. So our last question, we're going to stick with it. We're giving to our person who's filming, live streaming for us tonight, Kenneth.
Thank you all for being here today. I've been to like every town hall. I just want to say, first off, I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. Thank you for responding. 2 questions this evening. Obergefell is on the line. Gay marriage is on the line. And I want you all to know that that is my red line. And I will be in the streets should it be overturned. And if it gets overturned federally, it is overturned in Utah. So my first question is, what are you going to do specifically, should that be overturned, to defend the right of gays to get married? My second question is, will you be in the streets with me?
Kenneth is already in the streets right now, and I can vouch for him. Kenneth, you're an example of how to be an activist even when the world is falling. Don't give up. Don't give up. It is a red line, and it's part of this cascading collapse of all the things that matter, that structure our society. And you know that they're not going to stop at Obergefell. I mean, they're trying to walk it clear back. I mean, it doesn't. They're trying to work at unwinding the very constitutional framework. And when they overturn Chevron, I know that's a very technical, legal constitutional argument and analysis, but they did that on purpose to deregulate entire industries. They're trying to walk back civil rights. They won't stop at gay marriage. They'll go after interracial marriage. They're trying to incorporate religion into secular institutions. They're trying really hard to do it.
We know what you're going to do about it.
No, and I appreciate it. I'll join you. Boo, Democrats, boo! But I hear you, right? And when I talk to people, I talk as an elected Dem, and I help the Dems. Get elected and go vote for Democratic, join the Democratic. And people say, why? Why? We think alike. Our fights are the same. But the Democratic institution hasn't done anything to really earn our trust and support. What's the Democratic Party going to do about it? And I don't disagree. I think there's a lot of accountability in looking in the mirror of our institutions that are supposed to protect us and saying, what are you guys doing? Now, here in Utah, I do say I trust my colleagues. I see them in action. They're fighting really hard. Susan drives up from Cedar City every time one of these events happens. I mean, there's a group of people here that are really, really doing everything they can. But from the small grassroots to the big national stuff, we do need to look in the mirror and hold people accountable. And the people with the biggest microphones, we need to figure out whether or not they should stay or whether or not this gerontocracy has to change. Where this corporate influence just keeps a stranglehold and forbids other generations from actually representing a democratic process. For example, you bring up genocide in Gaza. What's the Democratic Party going to do to stop genocide in Gaza? I'm one of 5 Palestinian American state legislators in this country. And I've talked with the others. And what's really frustrating is as we talk to each other, we are all part of a party that not only hasn't done anything to advance Palestinian rights, it has been the antithesis and has been actively funding genocide. Now, here's the inverse of that. Even though we are members of a party that we don't feel supports us as an institution, there is something interesting in that all 5 of us are Democrats. And that the one Palestinian American federal Congress member is a Democrat. And that is because at the core of it, we have fundamental values that we share. At the core